Fortnite. I don't like it. I played it like twice back in 2018 and I was like, nope, not for me. And I never thought about it again. I initially brushed off his message as a stupid suggestion. Like 999 hours? Get stuffed. But the more I thought about it, the more alluring it appeared. I wrestled against my better judgment to justify the insanity of this idea, until eventually,
I don't need it.
I conceded.
I need it!
This was our journey to earn the Fortnite Platinum. This game has 5 infamous trophies. I'm not too worried about Talented Builder and Unspeakable Horrors. We have methods to deal with them. But the one that many people have mentioned is Play Well with Others, and that's the one I'll be focusing on first. Booted up the game, jumped into the shop, forcefully had to buy this carry skin, which was bundled with Save the World. Started the game mode, which popped the first 2 trophies. Ah yes, the tutorial. I wasn't joking when I said I only played this game twice. My dumbass didn't know how to edit. This Cuphead footage more or less reflects my building efforts at the time. Started to rain trophies after completing various tutorial related quest missions. This is where I started to grind Play Well with Others. In hindsight, I should have focused on the story instead. I found myself reliant on stronger players to carry me as I didn't have the weapons, traps, or resources. About 200 Play Well with Other missions, I realized I'm wasting my time in Stonewood. Especially when I found out about the existence of the AFK goddess, Thunderfora, allowing this man to dance like a fool while I need to kill something so I don't get kicked. This would have been around the last week of July. Thanks to Beast's yearly timeline, I found out that Thunderfora was available in the first week of August. The following week. Lucky me. The All Together Now trophy popped at some point. This appears randomly as a daily mission. I did hunt for Gold Gnome, but you would get this naturally just by going for the grindier trophies. Finding a garden or toy store helps a lot. Powered up home-based SSD to level 6 and launched the rocket. This allows us to enter the new world, Plankerton. Each world has its own dedicated SSD, so by powering it up, then it should gradually open up the map. You'll find new enemies, missions, and even variants on existing ones. But here's why it was better to advance the plot, and it's related to these 2 trophies right here. Completing each world's SSD 1 allows your heroes, survivors, and schematics to evolve into the next tier. Heroes unlock the Commander perk, but more importantly, survivors can be powered up. Survivors contribute to the 4 power level, essentially making you stronger, but specifically, I'm focusing on tech, which we'll touch on later. We flew through the Plankerton storyline. I wasn't even that strong. It was all thanks to the randoms that joined my games. Speaking of randoms, practically all challenge progress completed in the game are shared amongst all players. This includes gnomes, structures, survivors, chests, and even mimics, allowing me to pop this trophy. I got a few mates together and we completed the Hit the Road event, earning Thunderfora. I really should have focused on Canny, but those quests were such a chore to complete. I still relied on randoms at this point. Thankfully, there's the Canny skip. This skip allows you to power up your SSD without needing to complete the main quests. You'll need to come back eventually for the Uncanny trophy, but this skip allows you to power up your SSD faster, allowing you to unlock more survivor slots, which in turn makes you stronger faster. Also, this skip works on Plankerton. No idea who came up with the misconception that it only works on Canny.
You are fake news.
Would have loved to know this a few months back, but whatever. At this point, I was ready for Play Well with Others. This was the build I used. Thunderfora in the lead. Most enemies will die when they touch the tiles. Team perks, whatever you want. Supports, Electropulse Penny. Enemies meleeing the structures get damaged. Heavy Base Kyle, a big explosion after a certain amount of kills. The Ice King, enemies are slower when they walk on the tiles, meaning Thunderfora does more damage. Power Base Nox, slightly heals structures every 10 seconds. Lastly, Mega Base Kyle, extending the base's reach. Remember when I said I was focusing on tech? Well, that also increases trap damage. This is how I tackled play well with others. Went to Stonewood, selected play with others, chose the custom power level 3 to 5. Level 5 is the lowest you can find in the survivor mission. Idled in the mission screen, preferably on a mission that's already started until it forces me into the mission. And idle for another 2 to 3 minutes before moving to the objective. Drop the base, start the mission, explore the map, and practically never look back at the screen until I'm back at the main menu. Really only applicable for defensive missions, but that's most of them at this power level. Here's the thought process. While I'm AFKing for 4 to 5 minutes, you can do some housework, get a quick snack, take a shit, whatever you can fit in that time frame. And secondly, there are some lobbies where people don't vote to start the mission. After a certain point, you can start the mission without needing anyone to vote. So by AFKing the first few minutes, you indirectly cut the timer down by a lot. At some point I made an Epic account and did the grindier challenges on PC. This way I could get some play well with others, alt-tabbing, and literally do anything else while that runs. Just some pointers for anyone considering doing this trophy in the future. Some missions don't count. Leave them if you ever get them. These are story related missions. You can tell they don't count if Ray has a unique voice line or if it's a one-off area. A Thunderfora strat is not foolproof. If a Griefer destroys your base or other players kill all the husk before they reach the base, then you may get kicked for idling. If you want to be safe, just place a shitty trap where they spawn and you should be fine. You have an idle timer of about 3.5 to 4 minutes. Doing actions like placing down a structure, damaging a husk, or crafting weapons, traps or ammo will remove this warning. Note, the idle timer gets shorter for every warning you receive in that game. I was a uni student and had a lot of time on my hands. I was able to fit an average of 20 to 30 missions a day in between lectures, writing reports, and coding. Until finally, we popped that sweet trophy. Next up was Guardian Angel. I did work on this while completing play well with others. In hindsight, I wish I didn't go so hard hunting the survivors. Saving like 5 survivors a mission by myself wasn't worth it. Especially when you can have up to 4 people hunting 15 survivors within 6 minutes. We got a few tips here. Rescue the survivor is the best mode for World Explorer. With 4 people running around the map, you're more likely to open up the map involuntarily. Rescue the survivor is glitched. Survivors sometimes spawn in indestructible buildings, making them unrescuable. Epic solution, add more survivors. If timed correctly, you can rescue more than 15 survivors. Survivors standing on cars or vans are invincible, as long as the vehicle isn't destroyed. Firing an uncharged shot at the survivor's feet with the Xenon bow can fling them off the vehicle. This can allow you to leave the survivor alone and hunt for the other ones knowing they won't die. Just be careful not to fling them off the map.
Oh, that's definitely a bummer.
If you're struggling with the Xenon bow strat, alternatively you can build structures to lift the survivors off the van. It's not as safe as the Xenon bow strat, but works about 95% of the time. For cars, if you got the resources, then just build traps above them. The daily quest altogether now is glitched in your favor. While this quest is active, The second or third survivor saved onwards will count as double. Try to re-roll for all together now while hunting for this trophy. Every time you receive that quest, you'll knock off 25 survivors. For newer players, you will have the challenge Leave No One Behind. There are 20 stages and 1,050 survivors that can be saved. Like all together now, this counts as double. That's over 1,000 survivors you don't have to save if done optimally. Try and only rescue survivors in the Rescue the Survivor mission for the best result. Remember, every second or third survivor onward will count as double. Triple if you have all together now active. If a survivor dies in Rescue the Survivor, back out. There's a chance the extra survivor doesn't spawn, meaning you will need to complete the whole 20 minutes. Not worth it. For groups that have 2 or more people and need play well with others, you can mission manipulate to get Rescue the Survivors. Go to a dead server. One person look for Rescue the Survivor, the other search a custom play with others. Find each other. The person who started the lobby backs out, finds each other again through play with others, and that way you'll be working on both trophies. We went back to Canny to complete the main quests. Here's a quick tip. If you can, focus only on encampment missions. It's just so much easier to complete solo, even faster with randoms. We'll touch on that soon. Continued with play with others to semi-AFK the World Explorer trophy. Kinda regret doing it this way in hindsight. Again, we'll touch on that soon. Notice how I have not mentioned talented build up until now? That's because I was never worried about it. Staircase to the heavens? Not for me. This trophy can be AFK'd. I'll pass it over to the man who brought this to my attention, RWM.
I was like, bro, I have to find something faster for this. All these guys were like, change your binds so you could spam builds with a bunch of players. I'm like, there's no way I'm doing all this. So I'm like, I think there's a way I can cheese this. So I go into my endurance and I set up a macro to be able to place and break builds with 2 different accounts. They're just placing and breaking builds over and over until I get the achievement.
That's the basic principle. I didn't have an endurance build, so Twine SSD1 was where I performed Talented Builder. And good thing I did because I learnt a lot by accident. So I got Samurai's help over here and we indirectly did a few tests. After a few failed attempts, I found out that there's a match time limit. An SSD can't be powered up when slightly over the 3-hour mark. A custom wargame can't be started when slightly over the 3.5-hour mark. The match will end around the 4-hour mark. I don't know about endurance, someone else can find out. Another thing that I learned. As long as you remain as a group, then this can be continued indefinitely. So if the party leader is available, they can load up the SSD, wait for their buddy, and they should spawn in swinging. So whenever I was free, we could AFK Talented Builder while Samurai was at work. This was fine and all, but I did wonder if there was a more optimal way. And by accident, I found this. Double stacking. You get about 1.5 builds per swing, so that's about 30k builds in 3.5 hours. Double that if you can get another player. Introducing our third player, Fort Hub. I had to modify the process slightly. One person is building behind the person swinging, they build the foundation of the structure, and the other players build on either side. If done correctly, then it should look like this. Granted, the second stack may not register for laggier players. If you do this method, then I suggest you swap to a region where both players have a similar latency. Fort Hub is European, I'm Australian, so the Asian servers were the happy medium. If you start an endurance round, make sure that the next wave starts. Otherwise, that session's progress is down the drain. There may be better ways to AFK this. Play around and see what you can come up with. I won't. I've already got my trophy. As soon as the lads also finished their Talented Builder, then I could finally power up my SSD. Huge shout out to Aroli. I followed a guide to practically AFK most of Twine's SSDs. My traps were not as strong as the ones she used, but thanks to supercharged traps, I was able to make do with what I had. Now, the problem with running player war with others in Lone Stonewood meant that I never encountered any mist monsters. So I had two options: create an endurance build to AFK this, or run the second best option, encampments. And of course I went with the AFK method. So I farmed up my materials, booted up Plankerton, and followed Last's guide to a T. Also I fought. So there's this thing called flex amps, and I placed mine in a different location to theirs. Well shit, that was a waste of time. Now I need someone to help fix this for me. I also need traps as well, and I was like, fuck it, just do encampments. Similar to Altogether now, danger in the mist is glitched in your favor, but unlike the former, the latter quest is repeatable. So in theory, you only need to kill 10,000 mist monsters. I found it best to run the encampment missions in mid-canny while using a Teddy build. This was the build I used, though I preferred Madcap in the lead if I did harder missions. But look at Teddy melt these fools. This is another reason why I focused on tech. The goal was to kill at least 25 mist monsters in a private lobby, completing the danger in the mist quest. I wish I also worked on World Explorer alongside this, but it is what it is. Anyway, it usually took me around 8 minutes to finish a mission, slightly longer if I wanted to be extra safe. If including loading times, let's say over 300 mist monsters per hour. I tried to aim for 500 mist monsters per day, so it took me about a month to pop this trophy. Home stretch! I purposely ignored this trophy just for shits and giggles. Nothing against defenders, just could never justify using the resources. And there's my beautiful Platty. 4 months in the making. I spent a stupid amount of hours on this game, mostly AFKing, and I don't care what others think. I deserve this. Autopop, baby. Yes, all but one trophy is an autopop. All together now. But I had that quest saved for weeks. One survivor mission later, boom! Second platinum. How about I download the NA version and boom! Third platinum. Stat padding those ultra rare platties, but we take those. Special thanks to RWM and Samurai throughout this journey. If you enjoyed this shit, like the video, comment below with some feedback, and that would be greatly appreciated. Anyway, take care.